Hello, welcome to the Knitting Project. My name is Sharon. I'm coming to you from Surrey in the UK, where I live with my family and my animals. Today is Saturday the 18th of May 2024, and this is episode 152. If you're a new viewer, thank you very much for joining me today. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I have not got much content today. I've actually even got even less content because I just started this, opened a project bag, looked at it and went, I haven't actually worked on that at all this week. So right up at the top, the reason why, or one of the reasons why, is I managed to fall off my chair this week, the chair I'm sitting on. I leant too far that way to pick up a project bag from the floor, and the chair whipped out from underneath me. And between you and me, I hurt my butt. So if I look like a wince or I'm in pain during any of this, I'm really sorry. I mean, it is painful. So occasionally I just sort of sit awkwardly and I'm like, oh, that hurt. But never mind. And do you know what? I have just spotted my headphones. I was looking for them when we went away to Wales. I was looking all over for my headphones. No idea where they were. They're hanging over there. Honestly. So I wanted to chat to you a little bit about the knitting I'm doing. And I did some... what did I do? I did some embroidery at the weekend. So I'm going to talk to you about both of those. Really, it's a little bit about using up the leftovers. So I use this. This is the Herkle Durkle yarn, which was designed by Gaynor of Tales of Cuckoo Land and dyed at Lay Family Yarn. And I've actually said I've got quite a lot left. So with that, I think I'm going to make a pair of shorty socks because I think I have got enough left, especially if I can find a mini to go with it. I don't know whether to go bright mini or whether to... There is some blue in this. I could pick up... Okay, maybe just there. I could try and... There we go. I could try to pick that blue up. But we'll see. But that's sort of how much yarn I tend to have left over. Now, I do swaps. In fact, I've got a birthday swap coming up with two friends of mine. But I'm fairly certain at least one of them has this yarn. So I'm not going to send that as a swap. So I'm going to see what I can do with that. But on that kind of ilk is this. And I'm going to show you this. I think I showed you my litmus cowl last week as well. But it's living in my So Remy bag. I love the inside fabric of this bag. It's so pretty. So this is my litmus cowl. Getting it out is going to be fun because there's so much in here. So the litmus cowl is a pattern by Jude Harper. And it's free, but Jude would like donations to his chosen charity. And... this is awkward. That's what I'm using. So that's my main colour. Let me just get my main colour out. I haven't got an awful lot of that left. I don't think I'm going to have enough of this left. I think we were talking about this last week. I don't think I'm going to have enough of this left to finish the cowl. So I'm going to have to find something else. This is an Elderflower Stitches Tea Yarn Club Lemon, so it's a club colourway. So I'm not going to have a second one of these, but I will have a look and see what I've got that's similar. And I was making scrappy socks and I finished the first one, so that's the first scrappy sock. Oh, we are struggling with focusing today. Can we focus, please? Thank you. This is the first scrappy sock that I finished. If you remember, I showed you those ones I really loved. And they're from leftovers from the cowl. Do I want to rewind this and just tell you what I'm doing? So, here we go. This is the litmus cowl that I'm making. And it's all random leftovers. These are not an advent or anything like that. I know that these two are a homespun house. And I think that one is as well. That I'm fairly certain is Lay Family Yarn. That one looks like Woolly Mama, if I had to guess. And all the rest, I have no clue, although that does look very Les Family yarn. Yeah. So these are leftover minis from other projects. I know I made socks in those, but I'll be honest and say I have no clue what the others are from. I think they could be from the advent that Helen of Giddy Yarns did, which was all different dyers for a charity. I think it could be one of those, like a really long time ago. It could be the leftovers for that. So this is how it's looking. It's really random, but the only kind of stabilizing factor from it is the yellow stripes inside, which is why I want to try and match it as closely as I can. I'm either going to have to match it really closely or go completely contrast, because it could look weird if I put another yellow with it. It's not quite the right yellow, but we'll see. We'll see. And also this yellow isn't, as you can see, it's not a flat yellow. It has got stripes of light green in it. So it's not a flat yellow. It's also sparkly. But I did buy a lot of sparkle yarns. So I don't anticipate that being a problem. So at the end of, I have these minis. That I'm fairly certain was Les Family yarn. And I think I've got socks in these. And I think they were Easter. It was an Easter box. Oh, okay, you're going to spend ages watching me untangle yarn by the looks of it. And this is how much I've had left of all of them. Now, the swaps I'm doing at this weekend that I need to prep are 5 gram swaps. So I might try and wind off, because I'm fairly certain there's 5 grams there. I might try to wind off 5 grams from that to use as a swap. And then after that, it goes into here, and I'm doing 10 rows of the leftover and 10 rows of the main colour. Originally, I was just using this as a way to use up the leftovers. So that one is not 10 rows. In fact, it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's only 7 rows, that one. But then I decided I really wanted to use all the yarn, every single last bit of it. So I finished off what I had left over into a sock. Now this, you can't actually see it, which is really sad, but there is a blue bit right at the very beginning of this. So that was all I had left of that blue, was just that tiny bit there. I had much more left of the pink for some reason. And by using those leftovers, I have made this one scrappy sock. Now, I realise these are not for everybody, because they are very bright and breezy and scrappy, and, you know, the colours don't match at all. But for me, for the summer, for wearing around about the house, etc., they're perfect. I don't mind that they don't match. I have a second one. This is the one that I have started. And this one actually only has 2 minis leftovers. In fact, that leftover did the toe and the roll top and the entire heel. So that's quite a lot of leftover yarn there. And now I'm going down. In fact, I think I've finished, yeah. I finished going round on the blue on that. So I'm back on here. I'll reattach the yellow and do my block of the yellow, and then I'll just stick my hand in and randomly take out another colour. Now I might just wind the 5 grams off of these first, because I've got those two. That one I think I'd get 5 grams off of. That one I think I'd get 5 grams off of. But I think the rest of them, that I might get 5 grams off of. That I won't, that's tiny. Also, I'm not sure I'd use that because it's quite close to the yellow, but we will see. That's not got enough on it. That's not got enough on it. That's got enough on it. And that definitely hasn't. That's another homespun house. which I definitely want to get into the sock. If I have enough left over from the cow. I may not. By taking off the 5 grams, of course, there's always the danger that I won't have enough for 10 rows in the cowl. And if that's the case, then I will go longer with the plain colour. All this to say, in a very roundabout way, this is how I'm using up my leftovers. As I'd like to use every last bit of yarn. Now I've got a swap I'm doing with a friend for Christmas, and if anything really screams her to me, I'll wind that off, and that's 10 grams. I want to do a swap with another friend, or at least surprise her with something. In fact, I want to surprise 2 friends, but one isn't Christmas, one's before Christmas. And I will wind off the minis for that. So if I've got enough to wind off 10 grams, I will. So what this started out as was a way to use up the leftovers. But because now I've become very fixed on making these 10 rows, I need enough leftovers to make that 10 rows. So I think there might be cases whereby either I'll get the 10 rows in here, but I will not have enough left over to put in the sock, or I will decide I really want to, that I haven't got enough to do 10 rows in here, and it goes straight to the sock. And at some point, I'm going to need to do some math and work out how much I need to do 10 rows in here so that I know I've got enough. There is an argument to say I could do the 10 rows in here, then wind off the mini, and then put it in the sock, which actually, now I'm saying that out loud, is a very good argument and probably should be what I would do. So that solved that problem, didn't it? So yes, so put it in here first, then wind the mini, then put it in the sock. That's a good idea. Do that from now on. And also I need to find another one of these. Why am I working on this at the moment? There's a good question. I almost want to use my yarn stash in a different way. I have discovered where at the beginning of the year, and I'm fairly certain I've documented it, if not on a podcast, then on a vlog, that the number of whips I had are stressing me out. And I wanted to go through, and I wasn't going to cast on anything new until I finished something, and I could only cast something on at that point. I've discovered that that's made me really unhappy, and was probably one of the reasons why the podcasts weren't happening, because I was so fixated on getting my whips finished that I'd made myself unhappy, and I didn't want to do it, and it made knitting unhappy for me. I realised this, and then I've stopped, and I've only really realised this in the last sort of month and a half, which is when I started casting on things like my wildflower socks that I did and I love, and I've started doing things that I really enjoy. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy some of my whips. I love working on my shrug, and that is definitely something I'm going to reach for on long car journeys. Why am I editing out yawns at 11 o'clock in the morning? It's ridiculous. So I'm hopefully going to Norfolk. I think I might have mentioned this on the podcast last week. We're waiting for a weather slot for Ian to do a flight in Norfolk, and I'm hoping to go with him. So that will be a nice bit of car knitting, and I very probably will take that shrug with me. That said, I might not. I might just decide I want to work on this cowl. So bringing that back where that conversation started, I've had a thought about something to do with my yarn stash that I'd quite like to try. Whether I'll stick with it, who knows, because you know what I'm like. I'm a butterfly. I don't stick with anything. But I'm thinking what I'd like to do is finish a ball of yarn. So this is already made a pair of socks. I did some friendship link socks in this. As I said, I think if I can find some minis, which we all know I have enough of. Oh, I'll be right back. I'm being phoned. Got interrupted out of that by my daughter. So my thoughts with this. I'm going to find a mini, hopefully, and make myself some shorty socks. Then I'm going to put it into here. Well, at least I think I might. It's really pale. And this is quite bright. Oh, I've also got, hold on, there's another step before we go that far. I knew there was a reason this was sitting behind me. I love this. It's a chicken bag from Busy Pottering. Right, so there is another step before this. I don't know whether I showed you this last week, because I definitely worked on this last week. But this is my cozy memory blanket, which I have just started again with finished objects. So if I find it, there we go. It's gone in here. So before it goes anywhere, it goes into my cozy memory blanket because it was a finished object. Okay, I haven't got the, I keep looking up there because my wildflower socks are still hanging on the wall drying. I haven't got the yarn from those in there. So first of all, it goes in here. That's where it goes first of all. And then the idea is that it's going to go in here. And after that, wound off swaps, and it can go in the socks. However, here's a question. If I was to make two things out of it, would I put 2 squares in my cozy memory blanket? Don't know. I'll get back to you on that. I don't think I will, because I've already got the yarn, so it doesn't make any difference. I'm just going to have it twice and then go, why have I got that? And if I was to start using this all the way through, then there would be 2 together, which I probably didn't want. So no, it'll only go in there once. So yeah, then we're going to use this hopefully in a little while in some shorty socks. Might do some pattern shorties because they are, I've got that plant, I can't remember what it was called, but I showed it to you. No, I didn't show it to you last week in the end, but there's a pattern by This Handmade Life, I think, that this would be perfect with. So I might make some shorty socks with that and then put it in here. As I said, I don't know. The thing is, I say that, but I mean, it sort of goes in that with that colour there as well. And I have got paler colours coming, actually, haven't I? Thinking about it, because there's some whites in here. So like that's a paler colour. Okay, so we'll put that in there when we're done with it. So my yarn is going to have a journey from being skeined up and used in its main project into, maybe if I've got that much sort of left of it, a second project, which are going to be socks really. Or the other item like this, I was thinking I can make. I'm going to get this one finished first, obviously. Well, I say that, I mean, we know what I'm like. Theoretically, I'm going to finish this one first. The other thing you could do is a dotted rays, because I think that would be really nice in the leftovers. The thing is with the dotted rays, you wouldn't have any left over for scrappy socks, because you would just go with that until it's finished, because the nature of that pattern, it looks really lovely when you run out of yarn and you swap to the other yarn. So maybe with that, you could have some scrappy socks and say you're going to put 8 rows in your scrappy socks and then put the rest in the dotted rays. So we'll see about that. That's something I have burning in the background of things that I'd like to do. And after this is finished, I'm really pleased with the progress I've made on this, actually. Since I've picked it up again, I've gone from there. So in this, like the last month, I've done that amount, which I think is a really good amount. Anyway, I'm sure that's enough on what I'm doing to use up my leftovers. I would love to hear if you've got anything that you particularly do with your leftovers. Do you completely finish a skein of yarn? Or like me, do you have bins and bins of yarn that's just scraps that you've not done anything with? Let me know. Right, I didn't put those socks back. Never mind, they can go back later. The only other thing I worked on this week is living in this beautiful sewing bag from So Sweet Violet. Sorry, Jules. I was like, from Jules. I'm like, no, that's not the company name. So Sweet Violet. And in here, this is a Stitchery. If you saw my Instagram, you'd have seen this. This is a Stitchery kit. Now, this is the Stitchery sampler. There is a class that you can do. It's a paid for class. You do have to buy the classes, but you can stitch along your sampler with the classes. I have got the classes. I bought the classes, and I find it really, really helpful. It's what taught me how to do what I was doing this week. So I'd like to get back into this. I tend to only stitch in the summer when I can stitch in the garden, because then I can see. Oh, I really didn't finish that off. That's funny. So ignoring the little knot that's sticking out there, because I haven't snipped that. This is what I did. So this week's was learning couching, which I have honestly never done before. And I used the main cross thread that way was some just normal embroidery thread, but the thread that I used to stitch it down was some that was dyed by Lay Family Yarn, and it's a kind of a silk, so it's got a little bit of a shine to it. Can you see that well? Let's do that so you can see it. And then on this, the actual template is just the basket. So the flowers are my freehand flowers. And I'm so pleased with them, because that's really the first time I've ever done something that was completely freehand. I didn't even draw on it beforehand. So that was completely freehand. So I've done a little, what are they called? Woven wheel there. I did stem stitch for the stems. And then I've done some little French knots, just as like little buds of the flower. Yeah, I'm really pleased. So this is the whole thing. This was from 2019, and the lovely Sherry Iris did a tutorial for stitching a cow parsley, and I decided I was just going to stitch it down the side of my sampler. I can't draw to save my life, so my lovely daughter Meg drew that for me, and I stitched over it, and using the tutorial from Sherry Iris, and I love that. I love that's on there. And then this are the rest of them. So these are kind of me learning all the different stitches. And my idea now is that I want to try and do one a weekend, if I can. I don't know whether I'll do one this weekend, because I'm not sure we'll get to sit in the garden, because it's not very nice. I need to iron it as well. So my next one I will do is that one, which is the Lazy Daisy, which actually I can do Lazy Daisy stitch, so that one shouldn't take me too long. And then I don't know what I'm going to do with it when I finish with it, whether I might just kind of bind it, put some binding around the side, and then maybe put it under glass, maybe put it in a frame. Yeah, might put it in a frame. I mean, I'd love to make it into a cushion, but my sewing skills are not that good. I need a friend that could sew to do that for me, because I couldn't make a cushion out of that. I would ruin it, and I wouldn't want to do that. But I can bind it, I can edge it, so I will edge it. And I've got some really pretty edging that I can use, bias binding I can use. So yeah, that's that. That's the other thing I've done. So that really is it for me this week. I haven't done anything else. I hope you enjoyed the chat about how to maybe think about losing up leftovers and see what you do to use your leftovers. That would be very interesting to find out if anybody's got a project that they use for their leftovers. Leave a comment down below. I think we'd all kind of like to hear about it. I've got some vlog footage coming up. I was lucky enough to see the aurora, and I think there's a little bit of footage that I took on Sunday of me doing my journals and my embroidery. Don't know if I've got anything else, because I don't think I've been anywhere else. After I fell off my chair, the week kind of ended. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this, but it's probably quite a short podcast. I say that, then when I look back at the editing, I'm like, it's going to be over like 40 minutes long with the vlog bits on it. But I hope you enjoy it, and I will hopefully, you never know, see you next week. If not, I will see you very soon, hopefully.